Hello out there world. Welcome to my channel. This is Couch Talk with CV. This is the couch and this is CV. My channel is called Primate Evolved. I also have a website called primateevolved.com. That has the written versions of my blogs, my video blogs. So you're definitely welcome to visit primateevolved.com and leave comments there. Also, please feel free to leave comments here on the channel or for any of the discussions I post. Just that I ask that because I do post some pretty heavily debated or sometimes heated topics, I ask that if you do leave comments or have conversations to please keep those as civil as possible. And of course, the ultimate goal here is to get us not only to have a place to discuss these topics, but also find ways to resolve any issues and find ways to move forward together more productively. So today's topic may sound kind of funny to some of you, or maybe all of you, but it's something I do think needs to be addressed. And that is, do we really need camps of dog people versus cat people? So, that said, let's go ahead and dive in. As if we here in the U.S. currently do not have enough to be polarized about Democrat versus Republican, pro-choice versus pro-life, pro-immigrant versus immigration versus anti-immigration, pro-LGBTQ rights versus anti-LGBTQ rights, the radical social justice warrior SJW left versus the alt-right. And now we apparently have to add another divider: dog people versus cat people. We've all met them. You probably refer to yourself as one or the other. But what the hell exactly does that mean? Sure, we're all individuals here in the West. We love to amplify our individuality. We are diverse. It's good that we are not all the same. It's good to have some differences, provided they hopefully don't cause harm for yourself or others around you. But much of that divide between dog person and cat person is about flat-out bias or misunderstandings about animals. How much of that divide is about flat-out bias or misunderstandings about animals? Today, one of my Facebook friends, I put that in quotes again, because we are pretty well aware that most of many of our social media friends, aren't quite friends. This particular friend, if you will, posted a short video that went like this. So there's this average Joe guy, sits in front of his PC camera, and he picks up his large male tabby cat, rather awkwardly places him on his lap. The guy then holds up the cat to the camera, somewhat mumbles something to the effect of, "This cat would make a better president than," and then the mumbling sort of trails off. But I'm guessing, I think he meant Trump. And then the guy puts the cat down and starts shifting in his chair some, possibly to make some room on his lap for the cat. Things go crazy and out of control from there as he starts to get up from the chair while the cat apparently had a claw or two stuck on the guy's jeans or maybe the bottom of his shirt, and then the cat flips out and starts screaming and scratching desperately against the guy, who in turn flips out and throws the cat out of his bedroom. And the guy then is clearly shaken up and pissed off about the whole ordeal, and then end of video. Then I decided to read the growing barrage of comments about the video. That is why I hate cats. And this is why I'm a dog person. And cats are evil, I will never get one. And glad I have my gun collection. And the comments go a bit deeper down into the barrel from there. So I had to point out, and putting aside the ridiculous observations about that particular cat, as well as the curmudgeons who bellyache in general about cats, no cat has that extreme of behavioral issues unless it is suddenly in severe pain, if its claws are stuck on something, or if it has undergone a long history of abuse and trauma, or because of other environmental factors, annoying kids, constant noise and chaos in a home, or other factors that stress cats out to no end. Here's an important lesson about cats. They're very much creatures of habit. Yes, they are playful, funny, and endearing as kittens, but they also rely heavily on structure. They do not like a lot of change. Even some dogs are that way. After all, as with other animals, they have their own individual personalities. However, cats, for the most part, generally need an environment where they can sleep calmly for the roughly 18 hours a day that they do sleep. Know that they have food to eat throughout the day, as they tend to be grazers, and have a few big changes to their environment, as few big changes to their environment as possible. Some cats get visibly nervous or disjointed if you decide to move your living room furniture around one day, for example. And there are good, useful, evolutionary influential reasons for cats' behaviors. Compared to dogs, cats are much more involved in the food chain and qualify more as predators by nature. Further, dogs for thousands of years have been more heavily bred than cats, which means dogs have been much more socialized and domesticated throughout the ages. Meanwhile, your everyday domestic type cat hasn't been that heavily forced into breeding and socialization. Some of that has changed a little over in recent years, with cat breeders popping up to breed hybrid wildcats with domestic cats, thereby constructing breeds that can interestingly develop dog-like behaviors. Like, for example, some will play fetch, go for walks, are more interactive with humans. Ocelot mixes, for example, tend to have those characteristics. Still, most cats, particularly strays and those in shelters, are just out there breeding on their own, left and right, and consequently still keeping many of their wild-type attributes. That said, you really can't get pissed at animals for not being as highly developed as you. Yet people still do get pissed off at animals, mostly because animals don't speak our language. We spend a lot of time trying to figure out their facial expressions and match them up with our own reactions. That dog has a look of, WTF on his face, or what the hell. That cat has a look of, don't even try to mess with me. Yet we often misinterpret their expressions. Sometimes we are right. Animals do show certain emotions more clearly than other emotions. However, also like some people, some animals have that, what people call now, resting bitch face, or RBF. Cats are particularly known for their poker face, but that's their face. They don't have all the biological features necessary to make all the expressions that we as humans can, although cartoons beg to differ. Point being that it's more than time to cut cats some slack. They can actually be loving, loyal companions if you treat them right. If you give them consistent structure, and if you avoid annoying the hell out of them. Most people don't like being antagonized. Cats don't like it much either, and neither do dogs. Speaking of dogs, yes, dogs can make fantastic companions. I've had several myself. I've had dogs and cats in different combinations since age 5. I come from a family that loves animals. My father was especially fascinated with wildlife and our relationship with the animal world. Because of that, I was raised to appreciate all animals, so much that I was rather naive to the idea of dog person versus cat person. I was, and still am, an animal person. I learned at a young age to understand differences between various animals and learn how to adapt to their differences, rather than try to make them into something they are not. In other words, I don't expect dogs to be like cats, and I don't expect cats to be like dogs. Moreover, when you stop and really think about it, excuse me, when you stop and really think about it, we as humans are animals too. And we are not too distant from cats and dogs on the evolutionary family tree. When you start to view life as one tree of interconnected forms of life, all coming from stardust, all composed of atoms, all having DNA and RNA, all having similar organs, all having key biological systems, nervous system, muscular system, endocrine system, skeletal system, variations of those, you see that we really are, as cliche as it may sound, all one big family. So then why hate any kind of animal? Why have an ignorance-based disdain for any type of animal? Think about how much time and effort it took you to mature as a human being. The kid version of yourself would probably often drive you crazy now, no? Meaning we should spend a whole lot more time giving animals the benefit of the doubt, rather than making unfounded assumptions or incorrect assessments or knee-jerk biases about animal behavior. I've had some debates in the past with people who use pet ownership as a psychoanalytical conclusion about a person's disposition. She is kind of weird. No wonder she has cats. Or gets even more twisted up in the dating and the relationship world. You must be a dog person or it won't work out. Or I don't trust people who have snakes for pets. And those examples go on and on too. Even if there is some room for a comparative analysis between choice of pet and a person's personality, it is still important not to paint too broad a stroke. I have wondered, though, if dog people, for example, need dogs so they can basically be worshipped. If you hear, for example, some people say, my dogs love me so much, they always follow me around wherever I go, they always need to be right next to me. Sure, that makes us feel special and needed. Yet, interestingly enough, when humans try to show that degree of companionship with each other, it gets flagged as, well, that person is really clingy, or get me out of here. Funny how this isn't so much of an issue with dogs, or having dogs as pets. Of course, dogs can be a major handful in other ways. Fights with other dogs, sometimes challenging, a challenge with potty training. Dogs horrifically bred to fight. Being overprotective of their owners or jealous of relationships that include them every single minute, the relationship. And that circles back to this point. All animals come with varying personalities and challenges to go with them. It comes down to whether you have the empathy, compassion, and drive to socialize your pet to the best of your ability. There are no shortage of resources now on how to build a better companionship with cats, with dogs, with horses, with ferrets, whichever pet you choose. We are fully saturated with information in this age of technological interconnectedness. We should reasonably make the most of our fortune. And maybe that will lead us to a lot less polarization about animals. Maybe even less polarization with the more hot-button subjects that get so many people inflamed on social media and everyday life as well. Maybe, as I learned when I was a kid, we should all be an animal person instead of putting yourself into one or another camp. If you still choose to have a preference, I cannot necessarily fault you for that, but please don't decide out of misguided hate or ignorance. Otherwise, you could miss out on an amazing, ever-rewarding relationship with the animal world. Thanks for watching.